The explosion wasn't loud. Not at first. It shimmered like a sunflower inside the council chamber's dome, folding sound into heat, light, and vapor. For a moment, no one moved, no one screamed. Even the cameras floating overhead paused, their AI protocols frozen in disbelief. Then came the roar. The kind of roar that flattened everything in its path: furniture, bodies, trees. Ambassador Caleb Horn died in less than a second. Standing beneath the peace banner of the Galactic Council, he vanished in a wash of plasma that boiled the molecules of his skin. His final expression, a calm, careful smile, burned into the memory of billions who watched live from Earth and every other connected world. "Target neutralized," said a cold, alien voice through a secure channel in the orbital tower above. No one bothered to jam the signal. It was never meant to be hidden. Captain Mara Raines watched the footage 30 minutes later in the command center of Aquila Station, orbiting Jupiter. She didn't blink. Her jaw didn't tighten. The others in the room, aides, diplomats, junior officers, stared at her, waiting for a scream, a slam, a demand. She just said one word: "Run it again." The feed replayed. The smile. The light. The silence. Again. Again. After the fourth time, Admiral Vass came in, eyes hard, voice low. "Mara." She turned. "You're not going to like the orders. Try me." Council's blaming rogue Tharaxis radicals. Consortium denies involvement. Council bought it. "Of course they did," Mara said, voice even. "They always do. Earth's filing a formal protest. We're grounded until..." "No." Vass blinked. "No? I'm not waiting for a vote. I want clearance to launch Project Hades." Vass exhaled. "You want a war?" "No. They already started one. I want them to understand what that means." Mara stared out from her quarters into the gas-streaked clouds of Jupiter. Her reflection in the glass was sharp. Military buzz cut. Eyes that had seen 3 wars and buried more friends than she remembered. She was too tired to rage, too seasoned to panic. She tapped her comm. "Sergeant Vallon, prep the Hades crew. I want loadout completed in 2 hours." "Yes, ma'am." She paused, voice lower. "Tell them it's not a drill." The Hades crew was handpicked. Earth's deadliest covert strike unit, operating under a black flag. No insignia, no mercy. 5 humans, each trained to break things the galaxy swore were unbreakable. Mara met them in the darkened hangar, the Valkyrie already warming its engines. Vallon, heavy weapons. Dauren, broad-shouldered. Eco, infiltration and cyber warfare. Pale-eyed and twitchy, always smiling. Cam Reyes, recon and linguistics. Quiet, ruthless. Dr. Lay, biotech and battlefield medicine. Cold intellect, colder blade. Mara walked the line. They killed Caleb in front of everyone. No denials. No shame. The council won't act. She paced once. "We do." Silence. "They think we're weak because we talk first. Because we hesitate. Because we care. But I promise you." Her voice lowered, sharpened. "No one burns one of ours and walks away." In the shadows of the stars, the Valkyrie vanished into black space, headed for Varnak 4, a frozen mining world owned by the Tharaxis Consortium, now suspected to be the launch site of the strike. "Approach vector clean," Eco said, fingers flickering across the NAV. "No defense grid?" Vallon muttered. "Too confident or too stupid," Cam added. "Let's not split hairs," Mara said. Everyone quiet in 30. They dropped onto Varnak 4 in exosuits, silent as falling ice. The mining compound looked abandoned. Rusting machinery, low power signatures, half-buried sensor towers. But Mara knew better. This was their launch site, she said, voice in comms. "Get me data." Inside, beneath the frozen crust, the base was operational. Hidden. A stealth beacon pulsed under the floor. They breached a control room. Eco hacked. Screens lit up. Data scrolled. Then they saw it. A command string. Target parameters. Mission name, Extinguish Flame. Authorized by High Executor Zervail. Son of a bitch, Valen whispered. He ordered it himself, Mara said. Not rogue agents. Not terrorists. Top-level kill order. She turned to Eco. Download everything. Leak it to every system on the net. I want the whole galaxy to see this. Done in 10. They moved to extract, but alarms triggered. The Tharaxis had been watching after all. Combat droids swarmed. Gunfire lit the halls. Valen's autocannon roared. Cam took a round to the shoulder and kept moving. Lei dragged him behind cover. Mara covered the rear, firing in sharp, lethal bursts. They barely made it out. The Valkyrie lifted in a storm of white and steel. Back on Aquila, Mara stood before the Earth Defense Council. You have your proof, she said. The Tharaxis didn't just approve the hit, they broadcast it. They wanted us to see. You leaked classified footage across the net, a diplomat said. You endangered diplomatic channels. No, Mara cut in. I showed the galaxy what happens when they treat us like dirt. The chamber went silent. A general stood. What's your recommendation, Captain? Mara looked each of them in the eye. Deploy the fleet. Target their shipyards. Hit them where it hurts. Are you prepared for escalation? She didn't blink. I'm prepared to finish it. Outside, ships began to move. Earth's Black Ops fleet, Cerberus Wing, began warm-up procedures. For the first time since joining the Galactic Council, Earth wasn't asking permission. It was making a statement. They had killed one human. And Earth was about to remind the galaxy why that was a mistake. The Council chambers had fallen silent. Across galactic networks, the leaks spread like fire in vacuum. Binary storms of truth tore through propaganda shields. Thousands of planetary feeds replayed the footage, High Executor Zervail's seal approving Extinguish Flame. The humans hadn't fabricated it, no deep fakes, no clever forgeries. Just raw, brutal evidence. But while the galaxy watched, Mara Reigns moved. Valkyrie skimmed the edge of a gravity well near the Dranis verge. The stealth hull hummed low, cloaked against Consortium scans. Inside, Mara's team was already suiting up. This time, they weren't just digging for answers. They were preparing to break the spine of a covert command relay, the communications core of the Tharaxis military grid. If they pulled it off, Earth would have access to Consortium troop movements, supply routes, and fleet deployments. If they failed, they'd vanish like the airless corpses floating around the moons of Tyrex 2. ETA to drop? Mara asked, strapping into her harness. 6 minutes, Eco replied, eyes locked on his console. They've got minimal orbital defenses. Either they're confident, or baiting us. Doesn't matter, Mara said. We take the node and get out. No heroics. Valen chuckled darkly. We're Earth. Existing is a heroic act these days. The relay was buried in the crust of a dead moon, under a camouflage field in a decoy mining site. The drop was clean, no alarms, no resistance. But that made Mara trust it even less. Inside, the corridors were narrow, sterile. Cold lighting. No signs of life. Cam, take left, Mara ordered. Eco, slice the wall. Find their server access. Eco knelt, pulling tools from his belt. I love places that try to hide their secrets. They always forget humans are nosy little bastards. Within seconds, code flowed across his display. Oh, this is deep. Not just a relay, this is a war coordination hub. Fleet placements, target maps, drone factories, hell, they're even tracking planetary unrest. Can you extract it? Already copying. But they'll know soon. Cam's voice came through the comms. Movement. East wing. Small arms. Fast. Valen shouldered his cannon. Showtime. The firefight was short but brutal. Tharaxis drones, six-limbed, armor-plated, soulless, burst from hidden panels. Mara moved like a shadow, cutting down 3 with pulse-precision shots. Valen turned 2 into scrap with a single blast. Lay knelt behind cover, tagging injured bots with toxin rounds that melted circuits. "Eco, you done?" Mara shouted. He grinned. "Was done 10 seconds ago. Just enjoyed the show." Back on the Valkyrie, Mara reviewed the data. She stood still for a long time. "Explain this," she said, pointing at a fragment of intercepted transmission. Eco leaned in. "This wasn't just about Earth. Zervail's been planning a sector-wide purge of all emergent species, any race showing exponential growth. Earth just happened to be the loudest. So Caleb's assassination was a warning shot. The first domino." Valen's jaw clenched. "Bastard thinks he's running a galactic zoo." Mara stared at the digital map of Consortium space lighting up with deployment nodes. "They wanted to put us in our place. What they did was start the last war they'll ever fight." She transmitted the files directly to Earth High Command. But she didn't wait for orders. The next step was Tarn Prime. The capital. The seat of the Council. A place where humanity had been forced to whisper while older empires roared. Not anymore. The Valkyrie approached under diplomatic encryption. They were met by Council patrols, redirected to a secondary docking ring. Mara walked through the station's silver corridors in full dress uniform, shoulders squared. The air here was thick with centuries of politics and quiet insults. Eyes followed her, some curious, some hostile, some afraid. In the Council's hearing chamber, the delegates murmured as she stepped to the center platform. "Captain Rains," said a SHKlian minister, gills twitching. "This is irregular." "Shut up," Mara said. Gasps echoed. Several translators glitched, unsure how to process the phrase in dozens of dialects. Mara tapped her wrist. The room dimmed as a hologram ignited, a spinning network of data points, intercepted transmissions, authorization codes, kill orders. This is not theory. This is not suspicion. This is genocide in the making. Her voice cut through the silence like a blade. The Tharaxis Consortium is plotting the eradication of entire civilizations. They started with us, but they will not stop there. Zervail was not present. He had left the Council 3 days earlier. A quiet disappearance. Cowardice wrapped in ceremony. "You have a choice," Mara continued. "You can side with them and be remembered as cowards, or you can stand up and join a new order where no species bleeds in silence." For a moment, the chamber said nothing. Then, a delegate from the Kyril Dominion stood. "We will back Earth." Others followed. Slowly. Uneasily. The tide was turning. That night, aboard the Valkyrie, Mara watched Earth's fleet mobilize. Hundreds of warships surged from Mars drydocks and Saturnian slipways. Stealth cruisers lit up long-dormant beacons. Defense platforms pivoted to face outward, no longer passive. Lay sat beside her, sipping something pungent and alien. "Think they'll really follow us?" she asked. Mara didn't take her eyes off the screen. "They don't have a choice anymore." Valen walked in. Consortium issued a response. "They're calling our evidence human lies." "Of course they are. They've moved half their fleet to the outer rim. Looks like they're preparing to strike first." "Let them try," Mara said. The crew slept that night with weapons beside their bunks. In deep space, something old and arrogant stirred. But Earth was no longer whispering. It was sharpening its knives. The Valkyrie dropped out of slipspace above Arena Prime, once a quiet Tharaxis shipyard moon, now the heart of a military fortress. Mara stood on the bridge, arms crossed behind her back. The Earth fleet was still 30 minutes behind, punching through the final gravity chokehold around the Karen line. They would arrive with fire. But she would start it. Status, she asked, eyes locked on the surface below. Planetary shield still active, Eco replied. Fleet signature reads 33 warships. 12 capital class. They've already powered weapons. And ours? Cam leaned forward. Rear Admiral Sato's group just cleared the magnetic trench. 7 dreadnoughts, 26 support vessels, 2 full wings of interceptors. Good, Mara said. It's enough. Valen stepped into view, snapping his helmet into place. You really think we can punch through that shield with just us? We don't need to punch through it, she said. We shut it down. The plan was brutal in its simplicity. A 3-pronged assault, Valkyrie and Hades' team would hit the shield's control node in orbit. Rear Admiral Sato's wing would launch decoy strikes from the far side of the moon. Once the shield dropped, Earth's main fleet would warp in and unleash everything. 5 minutes to breach point, Eco said. Mara turned to her crew. No speeches. No promises. Just one look. They nodded. They launched in hard vacuum. Hades' team drifted across the dark, anchored to the hull of Valkyrie as it slowed to a crawl. The shield generator floated ahead, stationary, spinning with artificial gravity, defended by railgun nests and combat drones. Cam fired the first shot. A drone exploded before it registered the hit. Seconds later, hell broke loose. Valen advanced like a tank, plasma rounds tearing metal. Lei moved fast and silent, dropping mines behind cover, stitching wounds without pause. Mara slipped between shadows, disabling nodes, routing enemy comms. Then came the core room, cylindrical, glowing with Tharaxis tech. Eco was already inside, fingers flying. Encryption's dense. But they left a back door open. Probably thought no one would get this far. Get it done. 3 minutes. Outside, Sato's fleet began its run. Tharaxis defense cannons roared. Beams tore space apart. 2 Earth frigates were hit, one split clean through. But they held formation. Inside the generator, warning sirens howled. They've locked us in, Eco said. Doors? Mara asked. Reinforced. Valen raised his launcher. Let's change that. 2 blasts later, smoke flooded the hallway. Cam covered their retreat. Lei dragged an injured tech off the ground, injecting him mid-run. Eco, status. Almost, hold, done. The lights flickered. Shield offline. Across the void, Earth's fleet dropped in. Not with elegance. With fury. Dreadnoughts unleashed kinetic slugs the size of buildings. Interceptor wings spiraled into combat like hornets. The Tharaxis line staggered. Mara's comms lit up with Admiral Sato's voice. Shields down. We're engaging. Do not let up, Mara responded. Drive them back. This ends here. On the bridge of Valkyrie, she watched the tide turn. For decades, humans had fought with borrowed dignity, always defending, always explaining. Not today. The Tharaxis flagship, Virzul, turned to flee. Earth's warcruiser Resolute cut across its path and fired broadside. The alien ship cracked open, spilling fire and debris into space. High Executor's shuttle just jumped to the surface, Cam said. He's running. Mara nodded once. We're going after him. The Valkyrie broke orbit, diving into Arena Prime's atmosphere. Thunder rolled from burning ships above. The surface was industrial hell, factories belching smoke, shattered towers, and defensive turrets still active. They landed hard, within half a kilometer of the Executor's last signal. He's hiding in the command dome, Eco said, scanning. 2 floors underground. Automated defenses only. Let's finish it. Inside, the halls were empty, eerie in their quiet. No troops. No resistance. Just machines. Until they reached the central chamber. Zervail stood alone, draped in ceremonial armor, his silver crest dimmed. His eyes, slitted and ancient, watched them with icy disdain. You came all this way, he said, voice calm. For vengeance? No, Mara replied. For clarity. He scoffed. You are children. Loud, reckless. You do not belong among stars. Mara raised her rifle but didn't fire. Then you shouldn't have underestimated the children. You think this ends with me? I know it begins with you. She stepped closer. You executed a diplomat. Tried to crush our species before we had a seat at the table. You murdered without regret. Zervail's grin showed needle-like teeth. And you retaliated with blood. You're no different. No, she said. We're worse when you provoke us. She nodded at Eco. He activated the broadcast. The whole galaxy saw Zervail in chains, heard his confession, watched his empire fall. By the time they returned to orbit, the Tharaxis fleet had scattered. A week later, the Galactic Council reconvened. This time, Earth wasn't asking for justice. It was delivering it. Mara stood once more before the same chamber that once ignored her. She said nothing at first. Then, you taught us diplomacy. You taught us silence. But when you burned one of ours, you forgot one thing. She turned slowly, locking eyes with every delegate. We are human. We adapt. We endure. And when we are forced to fight. She paused. We do not stop until it's over. The chamber rose in applause. But Mara didn't smile. Outside, the stars watched quietly. And Earth, now fully seen, waited for the next challenge.